If you've been keeping an eye on Honkai Star Rail news lately, you might have heard some early whispers about two characters that are already getting a ton of attention: Sirene, expected in version 3.7, and Yae Sakura, who seems to be tied to version 4.0 and the upcoming Japan-inspired world. This video is going to cover everything we currently know about both of them, how they might fit into the evolving story and gameplay, and why they're already such a big deal, even months ahead of release. We're going to talk about Sirene's rumored role as a powerful support character and how she might actually be one of the most important lore figures we've seen in a while. Then we'll shift gears to Yae Sakura, who's not just an iconic character from Honkai Impact 3rd, but also seems to be making her mark in Star Rail, alongside the much-anticipated Star of Edo arc. If you want to save up to 23% on the Castoris banner, visit lootbar.gg. Here, I can buy 3,280 Woneric shards for $40, while it costs $50 in-game. I just enter my UID and select a server. Since every top-up goes through the in-game channel, I received double the Oniric shards for my first purchase and saved $10. And this discount also applies to PlayStation 5 and Xbox. Besides Honkai, you can also top up in Genshin, and Lootbar has over 50,000 satisfied users. I regularly use Lootbar for my giveaways, so I can personally recommend it. Use my link in the description for an additional 8% discount. Just a quick heads up before we get into it. Some of the info in this video is based on leaks and early speculation, so things could change before release. And since we'll be touching on future story details, there might be light spoilers ahead too. Let's start with Sirene. She's expected to arrive in version 3.7, which should drop around December 2025 if the schedule holds. She follows the path of remembrance, but from what we've heard so far, she's not just another support unit. Sirene might be tied to one of the biggest lore escalations we've seen in the game so far. Here's where things get interesting. She's rumored to be what's called a throne-level emanator, a term that longtime Hoyoverse fans might recognize from Honkai Impact 3rd. In that game, throne level referred to the most powerful characters in the universe, beings on the level of gods. Characters like Kiana in her Hersher form were considered throne level, meaning they weren't just strong, they were metaphysically important. Now this concept is being introduced into Star Rail, and it's already tied to a mysterious location called the Agnostic Zone. We don't know much about it yet, but it seems to be some kind of metaphysical space or origin point for these extremely powerful beings. Regular emanators are already considered top tier in Star Rail's hierarchy, but throne level pushes that even further, possibly putting them on par with Aeons or at least very close. So if Sirene really is a throne-level emanator, that tells us two things. One, she's going to be crucial to the story, especially in whatever's coming with the Agnostic Zone. And two, she's not just a unit you pull for utility. She might end up being one of the defining characters of the entire arc. There's also a more personal side to her story. Sirene is said to be a childhood friend of Phaenon and plays an important role in the ongoing Amphoreus arc. That alone suggests a major narrative presence. And visually, she seems to be inspired by Elysia from Honkai Impact 3rd, a fan-favorite character known for her grace, beauty, and subtle strength. If they're channeling that same energy into Sirene, she could become a standout, not just for power, but for personality too. So between her lore significance, her rumored power level, and her emotional connection to Phaenon, it really seems like Sirene's going to be more than just another 5-star support. She might become one of those characters who reshapes how we think about power scaling and story direction in Star Rail. But let's not forget what's coming after that, because version 4.0 is shaping up to be massive in a completely different way. The community might have had more influence on this than we realized. Back in version 3.0, during the main story, players were given a dialogue choice, Firefly or Kafka, and the overwhelming majority chose Firefly. At the time, it felt like just a narrative decision, but it turns out that choice might have had real consequences. According to what's being said now, that players' choice didn't just shape the tone of the story, it may have directly impacted development decisions behind the scenes. There's strong speculation that a Firefly skin is currently in production, and that it actually replaced a Kafka skin that was originally planned. So, yes, it might be a bit disappointing for Kafka fans, but at the same time, it's kind of incredible. This shows that the player base really does have a voice, and when enough people rally behind a character, it can shift what the devs choose to focus on. Your choice mattered, and now we're seeing the results of that in a very real way. It doesn't stop there. There was also a choice about the next destination, and players picked the Star of Edo. Now it looks like that's exactly where we're going in version 4.0. If you haven't heard yet, the Star of Edo is a Japan-inspired world and is expected to be the central setting of the entire 4.x storyline. And that brings us to Yae Sakura. Yes, that Yae Sakura, the Shrine Maiden from Honkai Impact 3rd, the one with the pink hair and fox ears. She's one of Hoyoverse's most recognizable characters, and she's finally making her way to Honkai Star Rail. If she sounds familiar to Genshin players, it's because Yae Miko was actually based on her. And now all three versions, Sakura from HI3, Miko from Genshin, and the upcoming HSR version, will officially exist across Hoyoverse's main games. What makes it even cooler is that all of them share the same Japanese voice actress, Yae Sakura. That kind of consistency really helps tie together the Hoyoverse multiverse, at least thematically, even if the actual timelines are different. According to one of the more reliable sources, the only things that have been confirmed for version 4.0 so far are that Yae Sakura will appear, the Star of Edo will serve as the main setting, and the Stellaron Hunters will once again be involved in the story. Everything else is still too early to say for sure, and while details beyond that remain uncertain, just having those three elements already makes version 4.0 feel like it's going to be a major update. Seeing both of them emerge in back-to-back patches could really show how wide Star Rail's universe is becoming, both in power scale and in storytelling tone. So now the big question is, who are you more hyped for? Sirene, with her mysterious connection to the agnostic zone and possible throne-level powers, or Yae Sakura bringing with her years of fan love and a brand new take for Star Rail's Edo arc? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Are you saving your Stellar Jades already? What kind of kits do you hope they have? And do you think Hoyoverse is really going to start diving deeper into this throne-level concept as a major part of Star Rail's future? If you liked the breakdown and want to stay up to date on all things Honkai Star Rail, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Save up to 23% on the current banners at lootbar.gg. All you need is your UID and server. The link is in the description.